Hello, good evening. Welcome to North West Tonight. I'm Roger Johnson. Once again tonight, we are live in Southport. Our top story. A horrifying night of violence as a mob attempts to storm a mosque just after a peaceful vigil to remember those caught up in Monday's fatal knife attack.
It was terrifying. It was absolutely awful, horrendous. We couldn't understand this viciousness.
54 police officers were injured. Right-wing extremists are blamed after misinformation was spread on social media. Meanwhile, police who are investigating the killing of those 3 little girls and the injuring of others on Monday have been given more time to question the man arrested after the attack.
And things are changing weather-wise. Join me later on in the programme. I'll give you all the details.
Just over 24 hours ago, this place was a seething mass of seething people intent on attacking that mosque behind me here in Southport. If you were watching the programme yesterday, you'll know that we were broadcasting from just in front of the Atkinson building on Lord Street from a peaceful vigil as the community came together to remember the victims and those who were caught up in Monday's knife attack. But within an hour, outside this mosque, just a mile, less than a mile in fact, from the scene of the attack on Monday, the mosque was attacked. A mob tried to storm it. Garden walls were torn down to give bricks for missiles to be thrown at the police and thrown at the windows. Shops were attacked. Some of them were looted. Why? Because of lies spread on social media. Well, today, local people came together. That wall has been rebuilt. Bits of the road that were dug up have been resurfaced. Everyone came together to try to put their community back together again, an act of togetherness and defiance. We'll find out more in the programme tonight about why the riot happened, and we'll also hear that the police have been given extra time to question the man who was arrested after the attack on Monday night. But central to this, not just those who were injured and still being treated in hospital, but of course those 3 little girls who lost their lives just over 48 hours ago. Alice da Silva Aguiar, who was 9, Bibi King, who was 6, and Elsie Stankham, who was 7. In fact, Elsie's mum, Jenny, took to social media last night in the wake of what happened here to condemn the violence which purported to be in her daughter's name. She said it most certainly was not. Here's our Merseyside reporter, Andy Gill.
Last night, a target of violence. Today, a focus for community togetherness. People helping to clear up the debris and repair the damage at Southport Mosque.
We were just helping a lot of people to clear stuff that people were throwing and all that, like glass and bricks and bins.
Well, I'm helping here today just to try and get my hands a little bit dirty and help out where possible, like many of the other people here. So it's a horrible thing, and Southport's still going to be recovering for a long time afterwards.
Rioters attacked the mosque despite the suspect in Monday's attacks having no known links to Islam. Police say they're legally constrained by what they can say about the boy they're questioning, but the chair of the mosque would welcome greater clarity.
I would love them to do that. Not that it makes a big difference, because even if he's a Muslim, why should that reflect on the whole community?
Mr. Hussain was inside the mosque when it was attacked.
It was terrifying. It was absolutely awful, horrendous. We couldn't understand this viciousness that was going on, and even the police were taking a hammering from this lot.
People have been helping clear up, repair the walls this morning.
Really was humbling. I've seen it bring tears to my eyes, because although I know people of Southport and I know how beautiful they are, but this was still, a moving experience.
During the violence, the mother of one of the little girls killed, Elsie Stankham, used social media to call for it to stop. Jenny Stankham said the police have been nothing but heroic these last 24 hours, and we don't need this. This afternoon, Merseyside's Chief Constable joined other community leaders in a walk through the streets where the violence was worst.
Just demonstrating, hopefully demonstrating to the community in terms of the level of support that they've got from right across the different agencies, and showing that we're working together, making sure that the relevant and necessary support is there.
The mayor of the Liverpool City region believes in the long run there'll be greater community cohesion in Southport.
Those people last night were trying to ensure that the opposite of that was in fact the case, trying to create division and tensions in this community. But the haters won't win out here.
Firefighters used a crane to repair damage at the mosque. People brought food and drink, which worshippers shared with others nearby.
That was Andy Gill reporting. Andy, our Merseyside reporter, is here. As you can see, been here all day. Within the last hour, police have been saying more about their investigation into the riot.
That's right, Roger. A total of 53 officers injured, 49 from Merseyside, 4 from Lancashire Police. Not unusual for officers from other forces to help out when a situation is developing like this. 8 officers seriously injured, broken bones, cuts, concussion. They were treated in hospital. Others with various injuries, including one knocked unconscious. 4 arrests last night: a 31-year-old from St Helens, a 31-year-old from Liverpool, a 39-year-old from Southport, and a 32-year-old from Manchester. Also important to say that the police have been given a dispersal order for this part of Southport. That basically means that they have more powers to remove people from the area if they think they're going to cause trouble.
And more time to question the man arrested on Monday.
Yes. Once somebody's arrested, the police have a limited amount of time to either question them or release them. Once 48 hours has passed since the arrest, they have to go to a magistrate to say, please, can we have more time? They've done that, they've got more time. The maximum that the police can hold someone without charging them is 96 hours. By my reckoning, that takes us up to Friday lunchtime this week.
OK, Andy, thank you very much. We'll hear more from Andy in just a moment. But first, let's hear from Phil McCann. He's been taking a look today at what might actually have been the reason, the spark that set off last night's riot.
It didn't take long for hundreds of people to converge on Southport from, we're told, right across the country to start a riot. Police were hit with rocks, bricks and insults just a day after Monday's atrocity. A police van was set on fire, and all because St Luke's Road has a mosque on it.
It just got busier and busier, and then the riot vans arrived.
I had to call 999, say there's a fire outside my house and we couldn't get out because it was right outside.
It's just a nightmare. You don't expect to see that on your street, do you?
Well, people started gathering here around half an hour after that peaceful vigil involving thousands that was held in the town centre. And, well, this is where the original standoff between the police and those rioters took place, just outside the mosque. The Scorch tarmac is where the police van was set alight. If you move just down the street here, well, this later on is where the unrest was shifted down to. And there, at about 10:30, 11 o'clock, another fire was set alight using bins and fence posts from the houses on the other side of the road.
This was the scene that greeted Phil outside his front door last night.
I was worried with the fire. I mean, it was too close, I was really worried.
So Phil got his hose out and his neighbours got their buckets out.
We couldn't just let it burn, it was getting worse. So, yeah, myself and the neighbours came out.
Mike, who's a councillor, lives on the street too.
It would have been terrifying for everybody, especially those who are vulnerable.
And Mike's clear this protest was organised from afar.
They were masked in balaclavas. Seen some people like they were embroidered in uniform.
Stephen and his young family fled.
That was terrifying because you've got 2 kids to think of in there.
The lies that fed this riot started spreading just hours after the stabbings on Monday. This post from an obscure US-based website went viral. Police have confirmed their suspect is not an asylum seeker, is not named Ali Al-Shakati and did not arrive on a boat. He was born in Cardiff. His parents were originally from Rwanda, a country where just 4% of people are Muslim.
By 6 p.m. on a Monday evening, we'd already picked up new groups being created on social media to try and direct people to try and have an event the following day.
The lies were repeated by very influential figures on the far right, like Andrew Tate, who has nearly 10 million followers on Twitter.
That's right, somebody arrived in the UK on a boat. Nobody knew who he was.
And then yesterday morning, there were posts like this across TikTok and Twitter being shared widely.
And the idea, of course, was to take this tragic event and shamefully to turn around to weaponise understandable local anger and direct it towards the communities which the far right dislike.
And then this.
Because everything on social media that was advertising this unrest said it was about protecting children.
Terrifying children. Children don't want to see that. Children don't want to hear that.
This morning, some of those who spread the lies have apologised.
I'm actually really disappointed in myself that I saw the red mist.
But others on the far right called the rioting justified and claimed it was perpetrated by locals. And now anger turns towards Reform UK party leader Nigel Farage.
I just wonder whether the truth is being withheld from us. I don't know the answer to that, but I think it is a fair and legitimate question.
So the riot is over. The division is not. Phil McCann, BBC North West Tonight, Southport.
Andy Gill is still here. This question of the identity of the attacker is important. His race, his ethnicity, his background, whatever it is. What have the police said to you?
Well, when I spoke to Serena Kennedy, the Chief Constable, earlier this afternoon, she was, for very understandable reasons, very non-committal about what she can say, for legal reasons not the least. She did, however, have much more to say about the threat that her officers and local people here had faced when the violence broke out last night.
I mean, before I talk about my officers, I just want to say, remember why we are actually here in Southport. And actually, it's thinking about those 3 little girls that lost their lives so tragically on Monday, and also those girls who are still receiving treatment in hospital. That's what we need to have at the forefront of our mind. But yes, my officers faced horrendous scenes, horrific violence against them, awful behaviours on the streets of Southport. And that's not Southport. We've seen the very best of the communities of Southport yesterday at the vigil, and the support that officers have had since they've been dealing with that incident on Monday, in terms of offers of support, people making brews, people passing them water. That's what this community is about.
What are you and the other community leaders you're with today here, what are you hoping to achieve by this visit to the street where the riot happened?
So we're working really hard to make sure the community has got their support in terms of the trauma that they've gone through in recent days, but also the really practical things about making sure that the roads put back to the way it should be and repairing the damage that took place last night.
I know you're legally constrained, but could you say more about the 17-year-old arrested that would stop people thinking there's a link between him and what happened here last night at the mosque?
I'm unable to say any more than we've already released, apart from that we have a 17-year-old male in custody who was born in Cardiff.
What plans have you got for any possible further disturbances?
We absolutely have sufficient resources here to deal with the intelligence that we're receiving about potential further protest this evening and potentially into the weekend. So we are planning now for the next 24 hours, but then also into the weekend and into next week. Today was about remembering 3 little girls who've lost their lives. It was not about the violence that we saw last night. Policing will take a firm stance. We've seen a message already from the mum of one of the little girls. She should be thinking about her little girl at this moment in time. She should be with her family grieving what is the most horrendous incident. I cannot imagine what that family's going through. And yet, she's had to give a statement saying this is not what she wants. That is disgusting. And I hope those people that were out on the streets of last night showing that violence towards my officers are hanging their heads in shame, that a grieving mother has had to come out and give a statement saying she does not want this to happen in her community. They should be thoroughly ashamed, and I hope their families are utterly disgusted and ashamed of them.
Merseyside's Chief Constable Serena Kennedy speaking to Andy Gill a little earlier. Patrick Hurley is the Labour MP for Southport, new Labour MP. You've not even had the job for a month yet, have you?
Indeed.
Just reflections first of all on what you saw last night, and then we'll talk about obviously what happened on Monday.
Okay, so what happened last night? I mean, firstly, the vigil that we held in the centre of town, it was the best of Southport. We had thousands of people on Lord Street coming, congregating, just as a place for them to hug each other and be with each other, to lay flowers, to put little teddy bears down in memory of the girls who were tragically killed, and there was obviously still in hospital. But then 2 hours later, we see half a mile away what was nothing less than, you know, it was a bunch of thugs running rampage and rioting in the centre of town, and the contrast couldn't be made clearer there.
What do you think about Nigel Farage is asking? He said he wasn't saying information is being withheld. He was saying you wonder if it is. It would be helpful, wouldn't it? Because this could have not happened if the full facts had been put out.
Well, there's a procedure and a process to follow, and the police have followed that process to the letter. They have my full backing there. Now, if people want to call into question the integrity of the police like that, that's their prerogative. What I'm much more focused on is looking to bring the community together. My politics are a politics of the common good, and we all look out for each other and lift each other up.
And you certainly don't want to see a repeat of what happened last night.
No, we don't want to see anything of that sort at all. I mean, we saw last night police vans being set alight and police officers being pelted with bricks and stones, and these were the very same people that only a day earlier had been the first responders. It was what was probably the single most traumatic incident that they will face in their career, and it beggars belief that just a day later they were being pelted with bricks and stones.
And just in 20 seconds, if you could, your message to the people of Southport tonight who, as a town, are bruised and battered and hurt by what happened, not last night, what happened on Monday.
Yeah, the atrocity on Monday was, it's the worst thing that Southport has seen in living memory. We're going to take time to get through that trauma collectively. But what we saw last night with the vigil, and what we've seen again this morning with the community clean-up and the community organisations opening up their venues to people, that's the best of Southport, and we need to see more of that.
Thanks, Patrick. Patrick Hurley, the Labour MP for Southport, speaking to us here. Let's go to Alder Hey. Obviously, there are still people being treated 48 hours on from the attack. A bit of good news for our health correspondent, Jill Dummigan, to bring us, though, on one of the patients, Jill, who's been treated, the yoga teacher who was at the centre of this and trying to protect the children.
Yes, Leanne Lucas, and as you say, some rare good news in all of this, Roger. We've heard in the past couple of hours that she is now awake and talking for the first time. Now, her family told that to the BBC just this afternoon. She's being treated in Aintree. There is another adult being treated in Aintree, and their condition is described as stable. There are 6 children being treated in Alder Hey Hospital behind me. 2 of them have been described as in a critical condition but stable, and 2 children are being treated at Manchester Children's Hospital. There were patients being treated at both Southport and Ormskirk hospitals on Monday, but I understand now that there are no patients at either of those 2 hospitals now.
Then what? Thank you very much. Jill, just a thought. Obviously, they're in several different hospitals, these patients. Can you explain why they were taken to lots of different hospitals around the northwest?
Yes, well, these are all major trauma centres, and as the name suggests, they are set up specifically for dealing with people who've suffered major injury. It could be an attack, or it could be something like a major car crash. So they will have teams of specialist complex surgeons, neurosurgeons, orthopaedic surgeons, as well as recovery teams. Now, Aintree is the adult centre for Merseyside and Cheshire. Alder Hey and Manchester Children's Hospital cover the whole of the northwest between them. Obviously, Alder Hey is the nearest. I think the fact that children have also ended up in Manchester only serves to emphasise the scale of what's happened. And of course, the Royal Manchester Children's Hospital also has that experience of looking after children in the aftermath of the arena bombing. So all of the patients now in these 3 major centres around the northwest.
OK, Jill, this time, thank you very much. We're really grateful to you for the update from Alder Hey Children's Hospital. There's continuing coverage from Southport on BBC Radio Merseyside. Once again, they are broadcasting live from here, and also on the BBC News website throughout the evening. Now let's take a quick look at some of the other stories which are making headlines in the northwest today, and an investigation is taking place into the death of a 16-year-old boy in Windermere. He got into difficulties in the water last Wednesday. The Health and Safety Executive is investigating alongside Cumbria Police. Firefighters are still tackling a big blaze in a large farm building in Lancashire this evening. They were called to the A59 Preston New Road in Samlesbury last night. 6 fire engines are still there. Nearby residents and businesses have been told to keep their doors and windows closed. Blackpool Council overspent by £6.6 million on its children's services last year. That was in spite of having fewer children in its care. The authority says that is due to rising residential placement costs. Lots more to read, as always, tonight on the BBC News website, including the former St Helens Rugby League star Josh Jones says that he has a serious brain condition. The 31-year-old forward retired last year due to concussion-related issues. Also, a call for a memorial on the site of the Summerland fire on the Isle of Man has been renewed ahead of the 51st anniversary of the tragedy which killed 50 people. And Lancashire's Lytham Festival raised more than £23,000 for charities during the event which took place earlier this month. All those stories and many more, bbc.co.uk/news. Richard, thank you very much. We'll have more from Richard on the Olympics desk tomorrow night. Now, here at the mosque in Southport, they've been giving out water today. We've got the weather forecast in just a minute. It's been really, really hot. Lots of members of the local community have been helping today, putting things back together, including, look at this, local bricklayers gave their time for free. That's fresh mortar, this whole wall, which was ripped down to be used as missiles to be thrown at the police and at the mosque last night, has been rebuilt. The community coming together, as indeed it has come together so resoundingly in the wake of Monday's attacks. Right, let's have a look at the weather forecast, shall we? Back in the studio. I think, is it Abby? I think it's Abby tonight.
Thank you, Roger. Good evening. Yes, today has been another sunny and warm day. Just a quick look at your weather pictures. Thank you to all our weather watchers for sending your pictures in. A lovely and bright start on the Isle of Man. Thank you to our weather watcher there. But things did start to cloud over for some parts of the region, such as New Mills there in Derbyshire. But we've still got to 24 degrees Celsius with some sunny spells. Now, there is a slight change on the way. We actually have a yellow weather warning in force for thunderstorms. That comes in force from 1 o'clock Thursday morning and runs until Thursday midnight. So that means then tonight, as a trough moves through, we'll start to see things clouding over. Then we'll start to see isolated showers moving through. They'll be quite heavy, potentially thundery. They'll even merge into longer spells of rain. So that's how it starts tomorrow morning. A warm night as well, quite muggy. Temperatures no lower than 13 or 14 degrees Celsius. So that rain or showers will gradually move eastwards as we work our way through tomorrow. It will brighten up. We'll see a good deal of sunshine. Still the risk of 1 or 2 potentially heavy thundery showers, and temperatures getting to highs of 23, 24 degrees Celsius. The winds will be light as well. So then, as we look at the pressure chart, I think tomorrow we'll start to see more in the way of weather fronts moving through for the rest of towards the end of the week. But Friday itself, we are starting off rather dry and bright, clouding over into the afternoon, potentially seeing some patchy rain at times as well, and temperatures still getting to around 23 degrees Celsius. Roger, back to you.
Emmanuel, thank you. My apologies. Good to see you. We talked a lot about these riots that happened last night aimed at this mosque, but let's not forget what happened in Southport. The killing of those 3 little girls is central to everything, and the injuries as well. The flowers that have been laid have continued to be put down all day today, including by Ava White's mum. Remember Ava, one of those, a little girl who was killed in Liverpool a couple of years ago. Thank you as always for watching.